I'd like to introduce you all to a new series I want to make called Ghost Stories and the Crypt. The background stuff that you'll be seeing is going to be based on a character called Story. Today's story is called The Yellow Wallpaper by Charlotte Perkins Gilman. It is very seldom that mere ordinary people like John and myself secure ancestral halls for the summer, a colonial mansion, a hereditary estate, I would say a haunted house, and reach the height of romantic felicity. That would be asking too much of fate. Still, I will proudly declare that there is something queer about it, else why should it be so cheaply? And why have stood so long untented? John laughs at me, of course, but no one expected that in marriage. John is practically in the extreme. He has no patience with fate, an intense horror of superstition, and he scoffs openly at any talk of things not to be felt and seen and put down in figures. One is a physician, and perhaps, I would say, not say it to a living soul, of course, but this is dead paper, and a great relief to my mind. Perhaps that is the reason I do not get well faster. You see, he does not believe I am sick, and what can one do? If a physician of high standing and one's own husband assures friends and relatives that there is really nothing the matter with you but temporary nervous depression, a slight hysterical tendency, what is one to do? My brother is also a physician, and also of high standing, but he says the same thing. So I take phosphates, whatever it is, and tonics and journeys, air and exercise, and am absolutely forbidden to work unless I am well again. Personally, I disagree with their ideas. Personally, I believe that congenital work with excitement and change would do me good. But what is one to do? I did right for a while in spite of them, but it does exhaust me a good deal, having to be so sly about it, or else meet with heavy opposition. I sometimes fantasize that in my condition, if I had less opposition and more society and stimulus. But John says the very worst thing I can do is to think about my condition, and I confess it always makes me feel bad. So I will let it alone and talk about the house. The most beautiful place. It is quite alone, standing well back from the road, quite 3 miles from the village. It makes me think of English places that you read about, for there are hedges and walls and gates that lock, and lots of separate little houses for the gardeners and people. There is a delicious garden. I never saw such a garden, large and shady, full of box-bordered paths and lined with long grape-covered arbors, with seats underneath them. There were greenhouses too, but they were all broken now. There were some legal troubles, I believe something about the hare and the co-hares. Anyway, the place has been empty for years. That spoils my ghostliness, I'm afraid. But I don't care. There is something strange about the house. I can feel it. And even so to John one moonlight evening, but he said that I felt was a draught and shut the window. I get unreasonably angry with John sometimes. I'm sure I never used to be so sensitive. I think it is due to this nervous condition. But John says if I feel so, I shall neglect proper self-control. So I take pains to control myself, before him at least, and that makes me very tired. I don't like our room a bit. I wanted one downstairs that opened on the plaza and had roses all over the window, and such pretty old-fashioned chintz hanging. But John could not hear of it. He said there was only one window and not room for 2 beds, and no near room for him if he took another. He's very careful and loving, and hardly lets me stir without special direction. I have a schedule, a prescription for each hour in the day. He takes all care from me, and so I feel basically ungrateful not to value it more. He said we came here solely on my account, that I was to have perfect rest and all the air I could get. Your exercise depends on your strength, my dear, he said, and your food somewhat on your appetite, but air you can absorb all the time. So we took the nursery at the top of the house. It was a big, airy room, the whole floor nearly, with windows that looked all ways, and sunshine galore. It was nursery first, and then playground and gymnasium. I should judge, for the windows are bared for little children, and there are rings and things in the walls. The paint and paper looks as if a boys' school had used it. It is stripped off, the paper, in great patches all around the head of the bed, about as far as I can reach, and in the great place on the other side of the room, low down. I never saw a worse paper in my life. One of those sprawling, flamboyant patterns, committing every artistic sin. It is dull enough to confuse the eyes and following pronounced enough to constantly irritate and provoke study. And when you follow the lame, uncertain curves for a little distance, they suddenly commit suicide, plunging off at outrageous angles, destroying themselves in unheard of contractions. The color is veiled, almost revolting and smoldering, unclean yellow, strangely faded by the slow turning sunlight. Is it a dull yet lurid orange in some places, a sickly sulphur tint in others? No wonder the children hated it. It should hate itself if I had to live in this room long. There comes John, and I must put this away. He hates to have me write a word. We have been here 2 weeks, and I haven't felt like writing before, since that first day. I'm sitting by the window now, up in this atrocity nursery, and there is nothing to hinder in my writing, as much as I please, save lack of strength. John is away all day, even some nights when his cases are serious. I'm glad my case is not serious. These nervous troubles are dreadfully depressing. John does not know how much I really suffer. He knows there is no reason to suffer, and that satisfies him. Of course, it is only nervousness. It does weigh on me, so not to do my duty in any way. I meant to be such a help to John, such a real rest and comfort, and here I am a comparative burden already. Nobody would believe what an effort it is to do what little I am able, to dress and entertain and order things. This is fortunate. Mary is so good with the baby. Such a dear baby, and yet I cannot be with him. It makes me so nervous. I suppose John never was nervous in his life. He laughs at me so about this wallpaper. At first, he meant to repaper the room, and afterward he said that I was letting it get the better of me, that nothing was worse for a nervous patient than to give way to such fantasies. He said that after the wallpaper was changed, it would be the heavy bedstead, and then the barred windows, and then the gate at the head of the stairs, and so on. You know this place is doing you good, he said. And really, dear, I don't care to renovate the house. Just for 3 months, rental. Then do let us go downstairs, I said. There's such pretty rooms there. Then he took me in his arms and called me a blessed little goose. He said he would go down to the cellar if I wished, and have it whitewashed into the bargains. But he is right enough about the beds and windows and things. It is as airy and comfortable a room as anyone need wish. And of course, I would not be so silly as to make him uncomfortable just for a whim. I'm really getting quite fond of the big room, all but the word paper. Out one window I can see the garden, those mysterious deep shaded arbors, and righteous old-fashioned flowers and bushes and gnarly trees. That's going to have to be it for this part of the recording. There will be a part 2 to the yellow wallpaper tomorrow. All right.